Hello and welcome to NBA DFS Coach Talk today. We are here to go over 11 games on the main slate for the DFS card tonight. We have some terrific matchups. We have a lot of interesting changes and some definite information that we still need. So there'll be news that will be dropping throughout the day. I am Joe Sarvati, by the way, affectionately known as Coach, and I'm going to be going through these 11 games with you to set up our initial lineups and get everything ready for this card today. First of all, I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Thank you for taking the time. If you're listening every day, we really appreciate you. We'd ask you, please, on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button right off the bat. Just get it out of the way. That really means a lot to us, and we bring these podcasts to you in front of the paywall 7 days a week. So that would be fantastic. Also, real quickly, our presenting sponsor today is BetUS.com.pa. If you haven't tried that BetUS yet, give it a shot. It is great. They are a terrific community there. I've been there 16 years. I've had nothing but success. And we have a great offer for you. If you sign up with betus.com.pa and make your first deposit of $149 or more, you get 2 free months of DFS Coach Talk. That's $150 value right there. So if you're looking to play the Final Four or some of the baseball that's coming up here this weekend, excuse me, then betus.com.pa is the place to go. Sign up with the promo code Coach Talk. That's all you have to do. Coach Talk, all one word, no space, and you will be set. Shoot us a DM on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk. We will get you into our Discord a couple of minutes after. You'll have full access to everything that we do for the next 2 months. So betus.com.pa, promo code Coach Talk. All right. No messing around today. If I'm able to keep my voice, I'm losing my voice already. It's not even game one. All right. We're going to fire through these. We're going to get you ready, and we're going to get this done. Game one, 7 o'clock, Dallas Mavericks at the Cleveland Cavaliers. Dallas favored by 4.5. It's a 214 total. 109.25 implied for Dallas, 104.75 for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Coming into this game, injury-wise for Dallas, we have Brandon Knight as probable, Theo Pinson questionable, and then we know Brown, Burke, and Hardaway are out. For Cleveland, you have Rondo doubtful, Jared Allen, and Evan Mobley, both bigs out for Cleveland. Certainly something that Dallas appreciates there. It is the second night of a back-to-back, however, for Dallas. They did absolutely smash the Lakers, so they didn't have to extend minutes on too many people, but enough that, we're going to keep an eye on that and the news throughout the day. It's also the first night of a back-to-back for Cleveland, so, a little bit of maneuvering will be done there as well. Coming into this game, the slowest team in the league is the Dallas Mavericks. The 26th slowest team is Cleveland. So you've got almost no pace whatsoever, and you have 2 top 7 defenses, Dallas being 7th and Cleveland 6th. So with that total of 214 and those statistics I just read you, this is not a game to focus on by any stretch of the imagination. There will, however, be some value here somewhere. First of all, I expect Luka to play a 12K against a good defense like this, and a slowdown. It's a hard call to go up to him at that price on the second night of a back-to-back. Brunson at 6'2", again, same scenario. And after that, it's just, it really is a crapshoot with the Mavericks on who's going to step up between Bullock, Finney-Smith, Powell, Dinwiddie, Kleba. Those guys all get minutes and all are supportive of Luka, but this scenario really is not the best one. Now, Cleveland's defense won't be obviously as sharp without Allen and Mobley. They anchor the defense big time for Cleveland. Cleveland's defense had been on the slide a little bit anyway, and now with those two both being out, it's going to be rough. I think you're going to see more teams scoring more points. So that gives you a little hope for Doncic, or if you want to go to the second flight guys in Brunson 6'2" or Dinwiddie 6'1". Powell's also been playing well, and he's only 4-4, and Cleveland is without both of their centers that start at the 4 and 5. So you can give some consideration there, but certainly only a one-off type of scenario. Garland at 10-2, a pretty big price, again, for a pace down for them, which they never usually face, but they do here. Karis LeVert at 5'9", still pretty cheap. That's a secondary option if you want exposure but don't want to spend up. It's the big spots that are going to be interesting. The two guys that I'm interested in that may go one off here with one or the other is Lauri Markkanen at 6'5" or Kevin Love at 6'9". I'm expecting both of those guys to start. It's not for sure. They may roll Moses Brown out there at center at 3'9". He'll certainly get some minutes. Ed Davis as well at 3K. But on an 11-game slate, I don't really want to take any big chances in there, even if like a Moses Brown starts, not going to get in that trap. Yes, Mavs have trouble against good centers. Moses Brown isn't a good center. Neither is Ed Davis at this point in his career. For me, it's more either Markkanen or Love, and I probably will play one of those guys in this scenario, just because I think it's a great spot, but want very little exposure to this first game. All right, game 2, also at 7 o'clock. It's the Orlando Magic and the Washington Wizards. Washington favored by 3. It's a 220.5 total. 108.75 for Orlando, 111.75 for the Washington Wizards. Coming into the game here, we've got injury-wise for Orlando, no Wendell Carter, no Jalen Suggs. So 2 good starters out. For Washington, we have a questionable tag on Vernon Carey. Kyle Kuzma doubtful. I am counting him out for right now. Orlando comes in with the 10th fastest pace. Washington slow at 23. Defense is nothing to write home about either, 18th and 25th respectively. So where do we go here? Your guess is as good as mine. They've been playing a decent amount of guys with Orlando. Cole Anthony's back up to 6'8". Hampton's been inconsistent but can pay off at 3'8". You got a pretty cheap price on a few guys, all 3 of these guys. Maybe one of them you can grab. Franz Wagner's 5'9", Chuma Okeke 5'1". He's really done well when he starts. Mo Bamba at 5'6". So, but you do have that deep bench now with Fultz and Wagner and guys. So I'm interested in some exposure here, probably one of the bigs. And if I need a super saving spot, maybe an RJ Hampton. But, certainly not going to load up on this game. Orlando's hard to trust. For Washington, Satoransky, this is the second night of a back-to-back for Washington. So we have to, be cognizant of that. Satoransky came through for us last night. He's only 4'2". He's playable. After that, Kispert at 4'1" and Hashimura at 4'6" are dangerous. But they also can bite you. They really can. Denny Avdi at 5'3", a little more expensive, but has been getting consistent minutes off the bench. So, guys I'm not racing towards, but wouldn't mind, getting him in as a last in. Second night of a back-to-back for Porzingis as well here. He's 8'9" against, Bamba and Okeke in the middle. I am not going to go all the way up to that almost 9K price tag in this game. Just doesn't feel like a good pay-up opportunity when there's so many other good ones on the board. All right, the third and final 7 o'clock game is the Denver Nuggets at the Indiana Pacers. Denver's favored by 9.5. It's a 232.5 total. 121, solid implied total for Denver, 111.5 for the Indiana Pacers. Injury-wise, we have a questionable tag on JaMychal Green. You always have to check which Green it is since they have multiple J Greens. And then guys that are out, Canchar, Murray, Najee, and Porter remain out. For Indiana, you've got the nightmare of all of these questionable tags. We've been getting them every day. Right now, it's Bataze, Brogdon, Jackson, and Washington. So I have no idea what the hell they're doing there. Brogdon in, Brogdon out, Brogdon resting because of soreness. And then he's resting because he's not in condition. You know what? It's nuts. So all the news there, we'll have it before lock, and that changes everything with this team. There's no question about it. As far as from a statistical piece, we've got Denver 21st in pace, Indiana 17th. Defenses, Denver slightly below average at 16. Indiana has been hemorrhaging points lately, and they're all the way down to 28th defensively. As you look at this game, obviously a real sharp pay-up spot in the Joker. He is 12-4, but, you know, it is barely under a double-digit spread at 9.5. It's at Indiana. Obviously, if we can get 3/4 out of the Joker, he should smash anyway. Whoever they're going to, if Goga doesn't play, it's really going to be comical. I have no idea how they're going to guard him. They're probably going to have to go zone because, you know, Brissett or Anderson or Taylor are all super undersized to try to guard him. Unless they put Jalen Smith in there, he's undersized as well. So this should be an absolute hammer job for the Joker, unless they're up, you know, 25 at the half and they sit them. So, yeah, you know, I'm not going to quite predict and game script out a blowout here. I think the Joker is really a fine play. After that, Aaron Gordon at 6K. He's had, you know, spike games recently. Decent idea there. Not interested in the secondary pieces for Denver. On Indiana, it's all depends on who's in and who's out. If Goga plays, he could be a decent play. They're going to need him on the floor as much as they can, you know, trying to stop the Joker. Halliburton at 9.7 is always a good play, especially, you know, if we don't have Brogdon in there. So we have to see what that news is. Hield's up to 7.3. Justin Anderson's drifting up a bit at 4.9, but getting big minutes, and Brissett at 6K. I like Jalen Smith a lot at 6.1. They brought him off the bench last time, and he still did decently. And Terry Taylor's starting to get minutes, and Lance Stevenson. So, you know, we need to see the news here, because if all of those guys are out and they have that short 8-man rotation, then there's definitely a couple of guys in play for Indiana. And I'd feel comfortable going Joker and 2 solid Indiana plays from the other side. So I do want exposure to that game for sure. All right. We move to the 7:30 set of games here. We also have 3 of those. The first one being the Charlotte Hornets and the New York Knicks. Charlotte's favored by 2. It's a 224.5 total. 113.25 for the Hornets, 111.25 for the New York Knicks. Injury-wise, only Gordon Hayward out for Charlotte. Other than that, they have a full squad. Knicks out Grimes, Noel, and Rose. Other than that, they have a full squad. So let's see. What do we have here? Charlotte 5th in pace, Knicks 27th. So big advantage for the Knicks players playing much faster. Big disadvantage for the Hornets players playing down in pace. The thing is, too, to add to that, Charlotte's only 23rd on defense, which also is a good sign for the Knicks. And the Knicks are up to 8th. So even though they're out of it, they've been playing some scrappy defense here down the stretch, which makes it a little tough to get up to some of these prices for the Hornets. Those prices that I'm talking about are LaMelo Ball at 9.2, Terry Rozier at a fair price, though, at 7.4, Miles Bridges at 7.8. Those are the questions does the game fit those guys, with the pace and the defense aspect? If you want to go cheaper and have exposure, PJ Washington at 5.3 and Mason Plumlee at 4.4, Montrezl Harrell at 3.8 can all be considered, but not racing to any Hornets here under these circumstances. I do have some interest in somewhat overpriced guys, these two guys, but they're the two focal points. You have RJ Barrett at 8.1 and Julius Randle at 9.3. Those are the two guys I think, that are super playable here. It fits the bill. However, I've been touting Miles Bridges' defense. He got scorched the other night by Aaron Gordon, but, I think he goes on Julius Randle. And so that gives me a little bit more interest in RJ Barrett, but he has slowed down a little bit. So not extremely excited to pay up, but I do want some Knicks exposure here. Mitchell Robinson's always an option at 5.8, but the center positions are hard to come by for sure with this many teams playing. So some exposure there, not jumping out of my seat over it though. Second game, Miami Heat, Boston Celtics, the defensive slow team matchup with guys that are priced a little high. So I'm not going to waste a ton of time here. It's Boston minus 4.5, only 215, a scant 105.25 for Miami, 109.75 implied for Boston. Injuries, we have 3 designations questionable for Miami, and that's Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson, and Gabe Vincent. So, the main guys are in, but if those 3 are out, it does shorten their bench and gives me a chance to play a Miami guy. But if the majority of those guys are in and with their bench in this game, it'll be very difficult. For Boston, you have probable tags on both Brown and Tatum. They both missed a game, and now they'll be back for this Miami game. Robert Williams will be out for quite some time. He had surgery 4 to 6 weeks for a torn meniscus. So a tough loss for Boston there, no question about it. Statistically, certainly a game to be fearful of if you're a DFS player. Miami's 29th in pace, Boston 24th, and even one better than that, Miami's 5th in defense and Boston 1st. Total, real low everything in Vegas on this game. Plus the prices aren't that great. I think Lowry's finally up to 6.2, still not a bad price, but not in a game set like this. Butler, Bam, mid-8s, which would normally be fair, but not, again, in a matchup here, and Hero 6.9. So no exposure there. Not paying the 8.1 for Brown or 10.5 for Tatum either. I guess you could go with one of the Boston bigs, both Grant Williams at 4.8 and Al Horford at 5.9, or Daniel Tice at 4.6. Those are the 3 guys that'll share almost all the minutes at the 4 and 5. So you can make a case for getting a big from Boston on the cheap. All right, the next 7:30 game, being the third 7:30 game, Minnesota Timberwolves, Toronto Raptors. This one has a little bit more bite to it. Toronto's only a 3-point favorite. 2 teams, good teams here, I think. 229.5 total, 113.25 implied for Minnesota, and 116.25 for the Toronto Raptors. Injury-wise, we have Beasley out and Jaden McDaniels out. For Toronto, Kem Birch questionable and Malachi Flynn out. So pretty strong lineups here. They've got most of their main guys. It's just a matter of now figuring out who fits where. Minnesota's the fastest team in the league, so monster pace up for Toronto. Toronto's all the way down to 25th. They have just continued to play slower for the second half of the season and have continued to slide down the list there. So big pace down game for Minnesota. That makes it a little tough. Defensively, though, both teams a little bit above average, 13th and 11th, respectively. So not a stackable game, in my opinion, but a game that I'd like to have some exposure. Beverly is very fair at 4.9. D'Angelo Russell's still down at that 6.6 number. Edwards now in the mid-level pricing of 7.3. The only expensive guy on the board for them is the Cat at 9.6. So some options there depending on your build. For Toronto, Van Vliet at 8.7, Trent at 5.9, Anunoby's just getting back into the flow of things at 5.7, and then you have pretty expensive Scotty Barnes at 7.9 and Siakam at 9.6. So it is tempting to want to grab a couple of Raptors going against the fastest pace in the league, but the pricing isn't really great. And the bench is a little confusing now with Achua, Boucher, Birch, if he plays. So the rotation, he goes with usually like an 8-man rotation, and they play decent minutes. But the prices are tough. I think you can afford to go up to either Van Vliet, Barnes, or Siakam. Or if you want to double up here on Raptors, it also makes sense to go with one of those guys and then on the cheap with either Trent or maybe Anunoby. But I want to do a little more coach speak and beat writer, make sure there's no caps left on Anunoby here. I believe this is his third game back. All right, let's move right on to the 8 o'clock games. There are two of them. The first one's the Sacramento Kings and the Houston Rockets. Obviously, everybody's eyes light up here. Great pace, no defense. I will say, too, that the thing that makes it even better is Houston has shut down some people for the rest of the season, which definitely gives you a little bit less of that depth and nicer opportunity to play some of our players from the Rockets. All right, let's go over this because it is definitely going to be a key game on the slate for most people. You've got Sacramento favored on the road by 2.5, 232.5 total. We have the favorite situation that I love. Two teams with implied totals 115 or better. Sacramento 117.5 and Houston 115. So that just solidifies the importance of this game for me. Lots of injury stuff here. Teams shut down all kinds of people. They're playing for ping pong balls, etc. Questionable tags for Sacramento. Josh Jackson, Jeremy Lamb, and Alex Len. Guys that are out, Davis, Fox, and Sabonis. For Houston, questionable on Şengün, which is very important because they've shut these guys down for the season. Gordon, Schroeder, Wall, and Wood have been shut down. So these numbers are going to make your ears ring. Sacramento 6th in pace, Houston 2nd. Defensively, these teams are 27th and 30th. So I don't know if you can get away from this game without at least 3 or 4 guys. I mean, it's that much of a DFS conducive game. I'll go over the guys that stand out to me. I'm sure you can play some of the other ones. They're going to get drug along in this pace and high possession scenario. Davion Mitchell at 7.6 has just taken over the reins of this team since Fox has been shut down. Harrison Barnes, sub 6K, he's only 5'9". Trey Lyles at 5'7". Damian Jones, who I don't completely trust after the other day, at 4'8". Dante DiVincenzo at 5'2" as well. So lots of options there from Sacramento. On Houston, even stronger for me. Kevin Porter Jr., 7K. Jalen Green at 6'5". Both guys, really solid players here. I know Davion Mitchell, his nickname is Off Night, and he'll guard probably a little bit of both of those guys, but I still think it's just a perfect situation for both of them. You're going to get a super cheap Garrison Matthews at 3.2, playing a lot of minutes probably. Jae'Sean Tate at 4.5 will see an increase. And then if Şengün plays at 6'9", he's really the biggest center left for them. They have Bruno Fernando, who will probably play some backup center minutes, but not worth rostering. Şengün's not cheap at 6'9", but if he's in with no restrictions, he's a fine play. But he did get hurt at the end of that last game, so we really need to see the news there. KJ Martin, I love at 3.6, and Josh Christopher at 3.9. So I'm going to get at least 2 Rockets out of this game. I'm going to do a ton of studying on this to find out what the situation is now with all these guys out. What is the rotation we're looking at? Try to find every piece of information I can prior to this game, because once we see a game or so, we're going to know, what they're going to do with this shortened roster the rest of the way. So I'd like to beat the field to the punch today. So this is a perfect time for me to say this is a great time to join DFS Coach Talk, because we follow these kinds of things like the Houston news that will break during the day. We're following everything 24/7. We're posting it in Discord. There's discussions in Discord. We're putting up projections. We're talking ownership. We're giving lineups and discussing all of the coach speak and beat writer news as the day goes on, exclusively for our members. And then 30 minutes before lock, we are giving full FanDuel and Yahoo cash lineups and GPP lineups. And then our exclusive coaches clipboard, which gives you the top 5 plays on DraftKings as a core and several other options to pick from. You can jump in. We have a big announcement coming this evening for an NBA playoff package that goes from this Friday, April 1st. I know the playoffs don't start yet, but it's getting close, and it runs all the way till the playoffs end on June 19th. But when you join Coach Talk, you don't just get our NBA in that package. When you join, you're part of the family, you get everything that we offer. So we'll have everyday MLB action, and we do every PGA tournament as well. So you get all of that. We're announcing that special price this evening. You can see that. We'll post it on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk, and we'd love to have you in there to join us. If you just want to dip your toes in the water, we have a package for 3 days that's only $10. That'll get you all of our action the next 3 days, MLB preseason, every NBA game, all of our prize picks action, and then, of course, our golf lineups for the full tournament tonight and our weekend-only lineups on Friday. All right, let's go on to the other 8 o'clock game. It's the Atlanta Hawks and the Oklahoma City Thunder. We have Atlanta favored by a big 12.5 here on the road, 230.5 total. Atlanta with a real nice implied at 121.5, OKC at 109. Injury-wise, Hunter and Gallinari and Jalen Johnson, all 3 questionable, and definitely need to know that information, very important. We know John Collins remains out, as well as Skylar Mays. For Oklahoma City, the big news there is Trey Mann questionable, and he's been their go-to guy without SGA playing, who's been shut down for the season. So we need to know if Trey's in or out. That's going to be important news. We know Favors and Kenrich Williams have already been ruled out. Coming into this game, it is the first night of a back-to-back for Atlanta, so that's something to take note of. They have had a tendency to sit a guy or two based on that, so we'll see what happens there. Pace-wise, at 19th for Atlanta, 13th for Oklahoma City. Defensively, Atlanta poor at 26, and Oklahoma City right in the middle of the pack at 15th. So options, obviously Trae Young at 11K could be one of your pay-up decisions of the day. Certainly could fill it up against a very undermanned Thunder team here. And if it stays close enough and he gets big run, he could throw up some big numbers. We do need to know who's in and out for them, though. That's going to make it a definite effect. Herter's at a great price at 5.5. Bogdanovich very fair at 6.6. Those guys can certainly get it done. And then again, we're going to need some more information across the board there. Clint Capella at 6.5, not a bad play. against, Oklahoma City. They can't stop anybody at the center position. He does share a lot of those minutes with Okongwu, though, so you need to be aware of that for sure. From the Oklahoma City side, if Trey Mann sits, it's probably going to be Teo is how it's pronounced. Teo Maladone had a smash game the last time, and he seems to be the next man up for the alpha for scoring the ball. If, with SGA out and now possibly Mann out. So Maladone at 5'7", a very sharp play here. You can go to the secondary guys. Pokacheski, who's been decent, but he's all the way up to 6'7", which is a little pricey for him. Isaiah Roby at 6'2", as a possibility. After that, though, you've got about 4 guys all sharing some minutes and chopping it up. So not as crazy about them. But Teo Maladon probably going to be in my player pool for sure. And we'll make the decision whether we want to pay up for Young or go a little bit on the cheap with a Herder and or Bogdanovich, and won't completely count out Capella. All right, let's move to the 8:30 game. It is Memphis Grizzlies and San Antonio Spurs. Memphis is favored on the road by 6. A nice healthy 233.5 total. 119.75 for the Grizz. 113.75 for the San Antonio Spurs. Memphis injuries, Jaren Jackson is questionable, and Ja Morant and Tilly are out for Memphis. For the Spurs, you've got a probable tag on Lonnie Walker. 2 guys out, Langford and McDermott. Statistically, Memphis, 3rd fastest team, San Antonio, 4th fastest team. So only a 6-point spread, 2 of the fastest 4 teams in the league. That is interesting. Memphis, however, is 4th defensively. And with Tyus Jones starting in place of Mr. Morant, they are actually 1st. So that is a concern for Spurs if you're going to be playing some of them. Spurs, however, not getting it done. They're 20th defensively. So Grizzlies exposure here, probably necessary. Probably a double up, 2 guys here. If Jackson sits, you certainly can go to Steven Adams or Brandon Clark on the cheap. If he plays, then, not quite as fast to run to those guys. Tyus Jones at a 5.79 price is fair now that he's getting all the point guard minutes. Desmond Bane has stepped up at 7.7. Dylan Brooks still a little inconsistent, but getting shots up as he always does at 6.2. So I will be definitely swimming in the Memphis Grizzlies pool here, and we'll grab a couple of those guys. For the Spurs, one of your pay-up options, again, there's a lot to make the decision on. He's right in the same price group with Trae Young and some of the other guys that we mentioned here. And, of course, that's DeJounte Murray at 11.2. He would be the one guy I would definitely look at from the Spurs, but not interested in really the group of Primo, Vassell, Johnson, Pirtle, Walker, Richardson, Jones, Collins, Landale, Bates, Diop. No thanks. Not interested. See you later. All right, 2 10 o'clock games. So we do have a late night sweat double duo here if we need to late swap anything. If you want to play that after hours slate. If I am conscious at that time, I may throw one up there, 2 game after hours for our members. But it is a big day with golf, 11-game slate, a lot of stuff going on. So we'll see if we can get to that late after hours slate for members only. All right, the first 10 o'clock game, Phoenix Suns, Golden State Warriors. Phoenix by 6, 224.5 total, 115.25 for Phoenix, 109.25 for the Golden State Warriors. Injury-wise, you have a probable tag on Gabriel Lundberg. I'm sure everybody was dying for that news. You do have a doubtful tag on Cam Johnson. I'm counting him as out. We know Kaminsky, McGee, and Saric are out. For Golden State, only designation, our man Steph Curry is not playing, as we know. Statistically, great D's here. Third and second, the second and third best defense in the league, but yet it's still a 224.5 total, which is surprising. Part of that reason is pace is not bad. Phoenix 9th, Golden State 15th. But that is a pretty big number, 224.5, for two stout defenses like this. And maybe the reason it's higher is because Golden State has been going into the tank a little bit defensively here and given up a decent amount of points recently. So we'll see what the situation is there. Where do you go in this game? There's a lot of different ways to go. You certainly can look at Chris Paul at 8K. Devin Booker's pretty big tag at 9.5, but he's been on fire. Mikal Bridges fair at 6K. DeAndre Ayton fair at 6.9. If you want to go really cheap, Jay Crowder at 4.8, not a bad play himself. And, after that, though, you just got bench guys like Craig, Payne, Shamet. They're all getting minutes, Biyombo, and they're all cheap, but too much of a risk with 22 teams playing today. On the Golden State side, Jordan pulls all the way up to 8.2. He is taking a million shots, but with Klay Thompson also in there at 8.5 against the stout Phoenix defense, I'm not feeling it at those prices. Wiggins is 6.8, not a giveaway either. Draymond has not looked great, especially offensively, since he's come back at 5.8. Kuminga, who knows? You talk about a GPP player. Kuminga can break the slate or break your heart. I mean, I've seen everything from 8 fantasy points to 40. So, yeah, you got to have the guts with him. And then they're utilizing, a combination also of Porter and Looney and Lee, Peyton II. We don't even know who's starting. They are moving around guys left and right there for starting. So I know this game's 224.5. It's two great teams, but I hate this game for DFS. I really do. It makes me not want to play the after-hours slate either because I don't like it. I think that both teams are playing benches. Really, Curry's the only guy of significance that's missing. And their points are going to be spread around and hard to come by, in my opinion. If anything, I'd take some unders on prize picks on some of these guys, and I'd take under on that total 224.5. And I'm going to try to steer as clear from this game as possible. I'll wait and see what some of the starting lineups are specifically for Golden State. See if we can get one value guy out of the bunch. All right, the last game definitely have interest in, though. It's the 11th game on the slate here. If you haven't hit the thumbs up, please do that. If you love these podcasts every day in front of the paywall, we need those thumbs up to keep them in front of the paywall. Give us a subscribe. Take 2 seconds. Let us know how you're doing, what you think about the pods. If you have any questions, I'll be in there for previews, when it premieres, and I'll be there to answer questions throughout the day. So we really do appreciate that. I also want to thank our presenting sponsor, BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa. Make your first deposit of $149 or more by using the promo code Coach Talk, and you get 2 free months of Coach Talk, which is $150 value, all access. All right, New Orleans Pelicans, Portland Trailblazers. Pelicans by 13.5, 228.5 total, 121 total for Pelicans, big number, only 107.5 for Portland. Injuries, Joe Val questionable for the Pelicans. That's enormously important. So that news is very critical. We have probably the return of Larry Nance. He'll get some minutes, probably limited for sure. He's probable. And then we know Zion is out, but there's rumblings that he traveled with the team to Portland, may start practicing again. So, we'll see how that goes. Portland, they have Greg Brown probable, and my buddy D.D. Luzada is probable. It's getting bad for them. Hart, Watford, Winslow out amongst others. Statistically, Pell's 20th in pace, Portland 14th, but defensively terrible. New Orleans 19th, Portland 29th. So they are stopping no one. CJ McCollum, super fair price here at 8.8. And same with Brandon Ingram at 7.3. I'm interested in both of those guys. I know that the leverage of playing both of them, there is some, negative leverage, and they're going to pull from each other a little bit. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have one of the two of them. I'm still debating on which one. I do think they both can get to their number, though, if the game stays within 10 or 15 points. The Pels need to win. They're trying to get in that playoff spot for the play-in. So I do think both guys are playable. After that, it's really going to be interesting. If Jonas Valanciunas sits, Willie Hernan-Gomez will probably be my number one center on this entire slate. He's only 3.5, and he has been a really good DFS points per minute guy, really this year specifically, but the last couple of years, even when he was with the Hornets. So I'm hoping Joe Val sits, because I'd love to have that cheap 3.5 center, even if he's going to be chalky. That would be really nice to plug him in there. Nance getting a few minutes, Marshall possibly playing, muddies it up for the guys like Hayes and Jones for me. So I'm more, pay up for McCollum and or Ingram, and then let's hopefully get Willie Hernan-Gomez in there on the Pels side. On the Portland side, it's very interesting. You've got the group of Williams, Johnson, Ellaby, Brown, Eubanks, McLemore, Dunn, and Hughes. Those 8 being the main guys. A little bit of playing time now for Blevins and Luzada, but you got to look at the prices here. Keon Johnson, first of all, is just not that good of a player. I mean, he's 4.7. Ellaby, it just depends. Risky at 5.3. Greg Brown's not a bad play if he plays. He's questionable. He's only 4.1. Drew Eubanks makes sense, but 8.1? Who'd ever think 8.1 for a 10-day contract, dude, that was cut from the Spurs? Amazing. 8.1 is, I couldn't do it, but I get it. Brandon Williams at 7.4. I'd like to play him too, but 7.4 is a price that's scary, especially when Chris Dunn's getting some minutes. Sometimes they play next to each other. It is a real crapshoot there. So, maybe one off from the Portland side, but I am not, really excited of getting stung in one of these last games by one of these guys. So you got to be careful. The last thing you want to do is have that last guy on the board and he gets like a dozen DFS points for you and sinks the ship. So we'll keep a close eye on that. We'll again look for how, if Brown's going to play on that side and what the scenario is from there. So that is it, my friends. 11 games up, 11 games down. Really appreciate everybody listening in. Sort of the new setup here, getting settled in. Got the background, most of our stuff back up. Dirk's back with us. The lighting's a little off. I'm going to work on that, so I apologize for that. I think the microphone's better than it was yesterday, but still testing and tweaking. Should have everything perfect by this weekend. So thank you so much for listening in. Really appreciate everybody. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, BetUS.com.pa, and certainly for Prize Picks. We have been still roaring at that 80% mark and Prize Picks, so knocking everywhere. You want to catch those, we're going to have a Prize Picks pod today, and then we'll release several other of our plays in Discord. Come join us, dfscoachtalk.com. Sign up there for as little as 3 days for $10. We'll get you in Discord in a matter of minutes. All right, thank you. Have a fantastic Wednesday, and we'll certainly be back again later today with a PGA podcast and an NBA Prize Pick podcast. And then I'll be back again tomorrow as we look to crush it again in NBA DFS.